Hello, and welcome to tonight's Dr. Said Says. I am Dr. Cedric Wood, and I approach this taping with a heavy heart, as you have heard, I'm sure. Charlie Kirk was assassinated today. Absolutely horrible, unbelievable that a nice young man who's married and got two kids and they love their dad and his wife loves him and looks forward to 50 more years of marriage and living a full life. And some complete asshole, I'm sorry, if you don't want me to use that kind of terminology, don't be one, goes and shoots him and kills him. Absolutely horrible. I can't wait to see what the conservative people are saying, pointing fingers at the liberal left, I'm sure. I also can't wait to hear what the liberal left is saying. I hope they're leaning into the tragedy and the horror of this demonic act and completely disparaging the person who did it and beseeching their listeners not to ever do something like this. And so where my mind goes is why? Well, the shooter was angry at what Charlie Kirk has been saying. Well, okay, it's okay to be angry at someone who is on the other side of the aisle. We have differing opinions. I would like for us all to come together in the middle, and it seems like that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. I read that he carried on debates between both sides, and so that's exactly what I think we need more of. So I hope that that's commented on. So what we're left with is trying to understand the mindset of a person who would say, I know what I want to do. The right thing to do is to get a gun and shoot the person. Everybody knows about President Kennedy and how he was assassinating with a bullet to the head. Horrible, horrifying. So Lee Harvey Oswald was a complete idiot. But I'm not here to call names. Let's raise our tone a little bit higher and approach it from what was actually going on. The shooters all have a history of maldevelopment. I wish we would start using that word more often. We develop, our personality develops, and if we have personality maldevelopment, that means our mind is twisted and turned and it's upside down and it's full of holes and it's jagged around the edges, fractured. We've got to accept that there's probably several million of people that are wandering around with these kind of brains. Certainly the young man who decided in a moment's notice, without any provocation, to stand up and stab a lovely young lady from Ukraine to death on the public transit a couple of days ago was equally horrifying. And so all the news could say is, well, he had schizophrenia. Okay, that is not even the beginning to the story. That's just this much of a story. Well, what story, Dr. Wood? His childhood development. What happened? You probably watched my podcast the other day about Brian Koberger. He might have been born with an autistic brain, and so it wasn't. It's interesting, he does not fit into the usual category of a lot of things like parental abuse. I don't think so. Parental conflict. I don't think so. Parental changes, in and out of marriage and multiple siblings with multiple, I call that multiplicity. He didn't have that. Very stable in a small town. So he was more a person with genetics, or maybe PPP, prenatal, perinatal, postnatal stuff might have gone on. I hope it wasn't a vaccination that caused his brain to go into this mode. As you've heard, he called his parents mother and father. Where is father? Why? Okay, what happened to daddy? Hey, mom, how you doing? And but we still should look into it. What was his childhood like? He had two sisters that seemed nice and normal. They're both mental health professionals. Not one word of family therapy. I just can't get over it. A year ago, at September the 4th, a young man, 14-year-old in Georgia, went and shot and killed two and shot others. He'll be in prison for the rest of his life. But he has that story of parental conflict, parental separation, uh, some abusiveness, being locked out of the house, and mom let us in the house. And then she abandons him, his own mother, when he was about 13, and then takes his two little siblings away. So it was just a horrible situation. Mom and dad did not know how to fix it or how to deal with him. Why? Partly because they never went to see a family therapist. Not that I ever heard. If they did, then we should be talking to that family therapist and find out what happened. Not because we're just curious, but because we want to see what happened so that we can share it with all the other parents here in America and across the world, ideally. But let's keep it small. Let's just say the 340 citizens here in America. Did they get raised well in calm, caring, cool, kind, curious, cooperative, cordial households? The ones that go and get a gun and shoot somebody dead did not get raised in that kind of a household. I'm sorry. So, what do we do about it? I've been pushing for 25 years now for a class in every high school. Let's just start small. Let's just start with I think, 1 million high schools in the state of Texas and the 7 million students at roughly that age. What are we saying to them in a class? I want to call up every high school in the area tomorrow and say, can I talk to the person who has been given the responsibility of standing in front of a group of students, maybe ideally mostly male students, and said, do not get a knife, do not get a gun and take somebody's life. It is a sin to do that. It is sadistic to do that. It is sick to do that. And you are I'm not going to use the next few words because it's vulgar, a very, very low person if you decide to do that. I would like to ask everybody watching this podcast to raise their right hand and say, I promise not to ever get a gun and take it to a party in case I need to pull it out and start shooting someone who bumped into me. I promise I will never get a gun or a rifle and take it to some political gathering with the intent of shooting the speaker or anyone else, because I know it's a sin and it makes me into a very sick person. You can put your hand down now. Why aren't we having all young people take that pledge? And of course, teach them that guns are okay if you want to target practice or go deer hunting. When I was a kid, I had a BB gun. I loved going and shooting crabs at the beach. So I would never do that today, of course. But I've totally lost my interest in guns since high school because I grew up. Okay, I'm sorry, all you very mature men and women who have this interest in guns. I don't want to shame you, but I hope you are teaching your child, not like the father in the Georgia shooting a year ago, not teaching them to get out there and use that gun and shoot those animals. I'm going to teach you how to be a man at age 13 and 14. No, stop it. Unless you take him to family therapy and say, I just want to make sure my son is doing okay. Any family therapist would have seen that young man and said, he's kind of depressed. I've given him a test and we've talked, and it would not be a good idea to put a gun in his hands. Not only is the boy in jail, but the father is to this day in prison because of his coaxing his son into using a gun. So my heart goes out to him. He didn't shoot anybody. He did nothing wrong, but he didn't do something right, which was, son, you are writing what on the internet and the cops are coming and knocking at our door? Well, I told them that you would never get a gun and shoot somebody, but let's just make sure. Let's go and see a family therapist and find out if there's anything going on, okay? They would be free today, and those two people would be alive. Can you help me get the word out? Family therapy is what is needed. It is so tragic that anybody would get a gun and kill someone. Anybody would get a knife and take a life. Anybody would get in a car and speed down the road and kill one or two or even a whole crowd, like happened on New Year's Eve in New Orleans. That is just sick. And it's a sign of a depraved mind. How do I know? Because you look at these people's childhood, and I guess I'll say 99 out of 100. I guess Brian Koberger was that 1 out of 100 that had two parents who loved him and sent him a nice birthday card and talked to him and, grew him up. But they loved him so much they were blind to what was going on with him, and they were unwilling to get him into treatment. He was a cat burglar. He wasn't just this good high school kid, college kid. He was sneaking into friends' homes and stealing things so that he could buy things. So we have our work cut out for me. We have our work cut out for us in America. Let's get these classes going in every high school in America where we talk about mental health and well-being, where we talk about healthy relationships, healthy parenting, healthy communication, and healthy lifestyles. A healthy lifestyle would include not going out and purchasing a pistol or a gun to use to kill somebody in case somebody does me wrong. We've got to teach kids not to have that attitude. And if they're persistent in the class, the teachers would be trained to say, Johnny, can I talk to you after class? And I heard they did this years ago. We're going to send you to leadership class. Oh, okay. You have potential. Okay. Well, the class is really about 5, 6, 7 kids that teachers have noticed throughout the high school are not real healthy. They have personality maldevelopment. And it might turn out to be 30 or 40 or 50 in a bigger high school. Why aren't we doing something ahead of the time rather than, well, let's wait until they rob a store or kill somebody, and then we'll send him to juvie, as they call it, and then we'll send him to prison. Why are we waiting for that? Let's be, that's right, proactive. Let's catch them ahead, not only to save the embarrassment of the parents and save the lives of the people they kill, like the one up here north in Frisco who pulled out a knife and said, you come at me and you'll see what you get. I don't know what the young man did, but he went ahead and stabbed him in the heart and killed him immediately. He'll be in prison for years to come. We don't want that. So let's find these young men who are maldeveloped and get them into a special class and get them into family therapy so mom and dad can learn what to do with the child, again, to save their embarrassment, to save the person's life, and to save the child's life. Some people might be upset with me to say this, but I don't care. My heart goes out to the killer. They're human beings. They're going to go to prison for the rest of their life. I don't know why they would do that. Knowing that, I think they think they'll get away with it. No, in something like 49 out of 50 cases, they don't get away with it. So I hold every adult in the United States accountable. Why are you not standing with me to get through each state's legislature a bill that says there will be a class in each and every one of our high schools in mental health and well-being, healthy relationships, healthy parenting, healthy communication? Let's get it done, okay? Thank you for tuning in. Help me out here. Call me or text me at 214-394-4040. I am Dr. Cedric Wood. I hope your weekend is safe.